From Division III to Senior Bowl standout, wide receiver Tyren Montgomery joins the show to explain why he should be drafted.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. Got a special guest on today's show, going from a Division III wide receiver and star to a Senior Bowl standout. JCU's wide receiver Tyren Montgomery joins the show to talk about his collegiate career, his long journey, his story, and the receivers he studies in the NFL, and why he's only scratching the surface as a player. So let's get into the sit down between me and JCU star wide receiver Tyren Montgomery. As promised, everybody, we have a JCU star and Senior Bowl standout wide receiver Tyren Montgomery. Ty, appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, preparing for the NFL draft, to sit down and talk some ball with me, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, for sure. Let's start with the Senior Bowl, your most recent experience. Number one, what was your reaction to receiving that invite? You know, Division III school prospect and everything. And then what was your week like, that Senior Bowl experience like for you?
So my reaction to getting the invite, I was actually at the American Bowl before I got to the Senior Bowl. And the morning of the game, Scott Phillips, the director for the American Bowl, called me down in the hotel ballroom and was like, "Look, Ty, you ready for the game today?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, good, because you just got an invite to the Senior Bowl." So once he said it, like, it took my mind a few minutes to process like what he was saying, because like we talking about the American Bowl, then you just jumped to the Senior Bowl. So like my heart kind of dropped a little bit, and then I was like, you know what, like let me focus on this game first, and then afterwards I'm gonna really process what he just said. So it was shocking, but I mean it felt good though, because it's like, you know, my hard work's starting to pay off. So now I got to go out there and do the same thing that I did here and showcase my talent out there.
Absolutely, and that's definitely something you did. You went to the Senior Bowl and you showed up and showed out. What was that experience like that week down in Mobile, getting ready for practice and everything, with a lot of the Division I and Division II guys that were there, a lot of the Power 4 guys that were there? What was that week like for you in Mobile?
It was a blessing. You know, it was I feel like it was a lot of emotions that I felt. Like I was excited, but I was anxious. Like I wasn't really nervous. It was more of like, you know, I want to go out here and show the scouts. Like really the same thing, the same mentality I had from the American Bowl going into the Senior Bowl. Just like, look, I got to show everybody that I belong. Like just because I'm a Division III player, it doesn't mean anything. I just had to go Division III because that's the route that I had to go. So I was just, you know, excited. I was anxious to learn a new playbook. You know, coming from the American Bowl, I didn't realize, like, you know, you got to learn the playbook within like 2 days for real in order to really go out on the field and really showcase your talent. Like you want to be able to go out there and hoop freely. So going out there, getting a new playbook from the Senior Bowl and just like being able to pick up on it real fast was real fun. And then, you know, being around all the top players. I mean, you know, I had Diego Pavia as one of my quarterbacks on my team. So like, you know, I'm just in his ear trying to like tell him about myself. Like, look, bro, if I'm down the field, just throw it up. Like, give me a chance, bro. Like, give me a chance. Like, I'm gonna show you, you know, that you could trust me. So it was cool having them out there. Cole, Sawyer, just all those quarterbacks, all the receivers and the coaches. It was a fun experience.
No, that's what's, I mean, like I said, you went out there and you really put on the show. You know what I mean? With the speed, your catch radius, the route running. I think, you know, a lot of people coming into it weren't that well known of who you were and what you brought to the table. And you really kind of opened everybody's eyes. And I always say this, these all-star games, and I'm glad that you pulled that layer back behind the curtain of, hey, I had to learn the American Bowls playbook in like 2 days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think for fans, they don't know from you guys as player and prospects perspective, they don't know what goes into that. Like to be able to go out on the practice field, like they just think you're going out there to practice. Like, no, I need to know my routes, my concepts, and my checks, my calls, everything that we have to do. So I'm glad that you put that you kind of pulled the veil back on that. And coming up next, we're going to get into the story and the collegiate career of JCU wide receiver Tyren Montgomery. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The Winter Games are officially here. And if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. For example, the drama of curling matches that start slow but somehow get intense fast, speed skating races decided by inches, hockey games that feel different right from the opening face-off, even niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. And FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. While you were, you talked about being out there with those big time prospects, Power 4 guys, you being a Division III guy. Did you go out there? Like you said, you dealt with a lot of emotion. Did you have that chip on your shoulder, quietly, like, I got to prove to everybody that I belong out here? Because again, coming from Division III, a lot of people wanting to see what you bring to the table. And that's typically what we always look for the smaller school guys. When you go out there and now you're amongst the Power 4 guys,
Right.
can you prove that, hey, I can live out here. I can swim with the sharks in the ocean.
Yeah. I had a chip on my shoulder big time. Like, I had a chip on my shoulder at the American Bowl, but I knew, like, the Senior Bowl, this was like top of the top line. Like, it's gonna be an NFL network, like a whole bunch of people watching. Like, I just wanted to go out there, and I already knew. I try not to pay attention to the media, but I noticed when I had got my invite from the Senior Bowl, there's a lot of people on Twitter like, bro, who is this dude? Like, where he from? Division III, da. So I'm like, I'm about to show y'all. Like, I just embraced the challenge. Like, I've been an underdog all my life, so I just felt like this was just another hump in the road. And it was just like, I got to show them the work that I've been working on in the dark. And like, light came on me, and I had the big catch day one, and then ever since then, it felt good though. It felt good to really embrace that challenge and just to show them what I could do.
I love that. You talked about the bump in the road. You've had a long journey throughout your collegiate career. Kind of tell everybody that, people listening and everything, how do you believe that prepares you for the NFL?
Yeah, so I'll just go into my story. So coming out of high school, I went to LSU for basketball. I had intentions on walking on. That first semester, my mother ended up getting sick, so I had to, come back home to family duties and hold down the household with me and my dad and my brother. So it was around the COVID era, and around that time, a lot of stuff got shut down. Basketball wasn't in the vision no more. I was gonna try to get a job, but you couldn't even get a job, so I'm just at home chilling at this point. And one day, me and my brother, we in the backyard, we throwing the football, and he like, look, bro, you might as well do this because you ain't got nothing else to do with your life. So I'm like, I might as well. I can't even get a job, so I might as well try this out. So then at the age of 19, I ran my first ever slant route, and I didn't really understand how to run it. And my brother taught me how to run a route. So that was pretty cool. And then I kept working at it, and then I tried to enroll. Well, I ended up enrolling into the University of Houston. I tried to walk on there, but they told me, with that COVID year and that COVID era, a lot of guys got the extra year, so everybody was coming back. So there was no more roster spots available for me to walk on. So then I had to figure out a way of how to get some football film because I ain't played football in high school. So I ended up uploading my routes onto Facebook. And there was a guy named Eddie Franca out of Miami, Florida. He had a flag football team. He hit me up. He's like, look, bro, we got a tournament in Vegas. Come out. Let's see what you could do. So I was like, I might as well go out there. I ended up going out there. I was hooping, and I ended up getting the opportunity to be on a flag football team for the Olympics. But they told me if I were to do that, I'd lose all my college eligibility. I'm like, I ain't start playing football to play flag football. No offense to them, but that's just not what I wanted to do. So then I told Eddie, like, look, bro, I want to play college football. Eddie actually knows the offensive quality control coach for the 49ers, Deuce Schwartz. And at the time, Deuce was at Mizzou. So I formed up a flag football highlight film, sent it to Deuce, and Deuce sent it to Mizzou and a whole bunch of other schools, and they was all intrigued and interested in me, but they was only scared to take a chance on me because I never put on football pads a day in my life, which was pretty valid. So then my film ended up getting sent to Nicholas State. My first year there, 2022, I was a walk-on. I was ineligible because I had switched my major like 4 or 5 times in college, and I didn't have enough credits towards a major. So then I ended up 2023 is my first year there, or second year. First year playing for real.
Yeah.
I was a starter. I started my first 4 to 5 games. I ended up getting hurt, and then I came back the next week and I just lost my spot. It's just, it is what it is with the business. So then I entered the transfer portal, and NCAA told me I had no more D1 eligibility. So that was the reason why I couldn't stay at the Division I level, because the NCAA told me I couldn't. So then Coach Jeff Behrman, he's actually the coach for Bucknell now. He was at John Carroll at the time. He knew Eddie, the guy who ran the flag football team, and Coach B hit me up and was like, look, Ty, we know you got aspirations of playing in the league. We can help you get there. We got 40-plus alums that are in the league. So I was like, once he told me that, I'm like, man, I'm going to John Carroll. And then once I got to John Carroll, the rest was history. So it has been a lot of adversity that I've had to overcome, but I never was worried. Like when doors seemed like they were closing, I was just like, you know what? I got to find another route. I got to find another way. I just know and feel that football is my calling in life. So I just decided to stick with it. And now here we are. So.
No. And the story is definitely the one word I would use to describe the story is perseverance. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of people in life, you get hit with so many different roadblocks and bumps and obstacles, and it's easy to just be like, you know what, this ain't for me. It's not meant to be. You know what I mean? People quit every day. So I hopefully when someone listening to this episode of the pod and they going through something, they listen to this story and know that, hey, you know what, same way Ty it was able to keep pushing and get his opportunity, I can do the exact same thing, man. So I love that. And you actually already answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you about how your little brother kind of helped influence you to get into football. So you answered that. Now to flip that from the basketball side, would you playing basketball? Like for me, when I'm watching receivers, I always tell people receivers, when you watch the release package, even from route running and everything, you see a lot of the lateral agility and movement skills that you see on the hardwood. How did basketball prepare you really to be able to go out there, to run routes, to release at the line of scrimmage, to be able to play wide receiver? And coming up next, guys, Tyren Montgomery is going to explain his game and why he should be a drafted prospect. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online, and they handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every single deduction. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done for you by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to living your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
So I'll say, like, as far as like the crossovers and all that stuff, like, that's what the release is as far as impress man coverage. And then with the rocker step, that's like tween, like in between the legs and stuff. So it was easy for me to implement that with basketball into football. And then like a lot of things that I watched when I started playing, I used to watch Keenan Allen, Davante Adams mic'd up videos on YouTube. And I would hear them explain like certain stuff, and I would see how they like breaking down their releases down, and I'll see them doing the double crossover and all that stuff. So I just kind of like really mimic what they did and put it onto the field for me. Like just try to mesh it together. And then with route running, like stopping on the diamond stuff, that's like pulling back, stopping down for a pull-up or something like that. Like it just was easy for me to equate those two together. And then when it came to route running, I was watching Odell and Calvin Ridley, just because I feel like my body type and my body structure is kind of similar to theirs, and I just like the way like they run routes. I just understand what they doing when they running, and like at the Senior Bowl, because that was like my first time really getting like press man coverage in a long time. I got it at Nichols, but then I ended up going to John Carroll, and I never saw man coverage for the next 2 years of my life. So it was like going to the Senior Bowl, it's like, dang, it's the first time since I'm seeing one-on-one coverage in a long time. So it just felt good to like get back into that basketball bag and like really, you know, I'm really trying stuff on them at this point. I wasn't able to try it during the season. So it felt good to just, you know, get back into my hooping bag and put it on the field.
Yeah, no, I mean, I tweeted out the clip earlier of you hitting the rocker step against one-on-one coverage, off coverage, and everything. And I noticed that same thing. I was like, these guys don't really want to press them, and which I understood why though. I was like, once you watch your tape and even at the Senior, it was obvious at the Senior Bowl that I think it was a vertical route where you in the end zone. You know, I think it may have been the first day or second day of practice where you just won vertically, separated with speed. Tracked the ball and went up and got it. And I'm like, I understand going back to the film. This is why they're not pressing them. Like they don't want to put themselves in that type of position, but it shows that ability to win off coverage. You know what I mean? I always explain to people like, you know, watching guys, I grade route running versus man and route running versus off coverage is two different grades. You know what I mean? You got to handle that differently. You know, it's a different process overall, you know, especially going in the league where so much zone is so implemented on first and second down. You got to know how to push guys vertical, get them off their spot, work into the middle of the field, find those soft spots and those voids in the coverage and settle in. And you do a good job of that. And you know, for you, like you said, you didn't play football in high school. How long did it take you to get acclimated to catching the passes, right? Like, you know, catching the slant and then catching the goal ball, tracking it over the shoulder are two different things. How long did it take you to get acclimated to do that?
So, all right. So my first season at Nichols, catching passes from the quarterbacks and stuff, like that was cool, but I used to notice my fingers and stuff was always getting jammed up. So I'm like, you know, I gotta figure out something like getting used to catching the football. So at Nichols, we had a jug machine, and all during the offseason, I used to be out there 200, 300, 400, 500 catches on the jugs all day, like 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, just catching them. So I think catching from a machine versus catching from a human is much harder. So once I got into the season and I'm catching passes from our quarterback, it's like, look, bro, I'm catching passes way faster than this coming from the machine. So that just that was the easiest thing for me. That's how I was able to, you know, start really catching the football for real.
That's what I mean, but that's another lesson. I want people, hey, the jugs machine works, guys. Jugs machine works 100%, man. I'll get ready to let you go, get you out of here. Just kind of like you mentioned Davante Adams and Keenan Allen and Calvin Ridley and OBJ. Is there anybody else in the league that you watch and kind of study and pull parts of their game and go work on that with your own?
So when it comes to feats, two classic dudes that I always watch was Ocho and Stevie Johnson. Like I feel like Ocho and Stevie Johnson walk, so Davante and Keenan could run. I really feel like that. If you watch they releases, especially Ocho and Stevie, like if you watch how they like, you know, how they move, and then you go watch Keenan and Davante, you could tell like, bro, y'all was watching them. Like, so it's like I just try to learn from what Keenan and Davante used to watch and just learn from the OGs. So like those like the two people besides the four I already named that I really like try to steal from, like take bits and pieces from them.
I like that. That's a bar. I love that. They walk so these guys can run. I love that. Last question for you, man. I want you to just kind of tell the fans and scouts, NFL teams, everything. What are they getting? You know, any team that decides to draft you, sign you, whatever. What are they getting when they acquire Tyren Montgomery to their football team?
So I'm living by the triple H's: a hard worker, a humble guy, and a hungry guy. Like, you know, I haven't played football nothing but 2.5 years now, and it's like, you know, I'm hungry for more. I feel like, you know, my ceiling is extremely high. I'm nowhere close to peaking, and I want to know what that looks like. Like, I want to see how far can I go. Like, I made it far in a short span of time. So it's like, if I get in it, well, whatever team decides to take the chance on me, they won't regret it. Like, they're gonna be like, wow, this is who we getting. We getting a dog. We getting somebody who like to work, and he just stay humble. Like I know where I came from. I'm very grounded at the end of the day, and yeah, they're gonna be getting a dog most definitely.
Love it, man. Listen, I all prayers and blessings to you, brother. I want the best for you. Go
Thank
out there, do your thing. You know what I mean? When you get your pro day,
you.
individual workouts, take this personality, take that hard work. It's gonna carry you wherever you go. Stay encouraged and keep doing your thing, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks for
sir.
having me.
Yes, sir. No problem. There you have it, guys. That's my sit-down interview with JCU star wide receiver and Senior Bowl standout Tyren Montgomery. I want to again thank Tyren for his time during his busy schedule preparing for the NFL draft, workouts, pro day, all of it. And I'm really rooting for him, hoping that he has a successful professional career. But as always, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.